Thanks for joining us on Indivisible. I'm your host, John Stubbins. Welcome, America. We're going to be streaming today on pill.net, freedomfirstnetwork.com, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. So, my grandfather served in 3 wars: World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Korean War. And as a veteran myself, I admire patriots and people that do amazing things. And that's what this show is all about, as you know. So, we've got today a great American who has done amazing, amazing things. Police officer in the swamp, also Las Vegas, entered the military at age 18 to go into the Korean War, special agent in the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, which later became the DEA, served 26 years in Istanbul, Turkey, the Middle East, Mexico, Central and South America, and then headed the DEA in Texas and Arizona. In 1992, he became sheriff of Maricopa County in Arizona, had 3,400 employees under his charge, served an unprecedented 6 4-year terms. So 24 years, which is the most ever by a sheriff in Arizona. And we call him America's toughest sheriff. I want to bring on to the show Sheriff Joe Arpaio, our guest today. How you doing, Sheriff? Welcome to the show.
Live and kicking. Thanks for your grandfather and your service for our country, John.
You too, sir. God bless you. Yes, and Sheriff Arpaio has a brand new book, and it is called Sheriff Arpaio, an American Legend. You are an American legend. I want to show everybody a picture of that book, and I'm going to be scrolling at the bottom of the screen so everybody can see where they can go to get this book and order it. I highly recommend it, and we're going to get into the book here in just a minute. But mainly, Sheriff, I want to thank you for your service and all that you've done for America, for Arizona. You've laid it all out on the line in service to the people of this country to just do amazing things. And before I get started, I had a couple people that asked me, "Are you a native Bostonian?"
I'm a native Springfield, Massachusetts, but I was head of the federal force, and years later working out of Boston.
Gotcha. And we know you have your wonderful wife, Ava, who's been supportive of you through the years. I know that you attest to that in your book. Your 2 lovely children. You've been married with Ava for 61 years. I commend you for that alone. You don't see that anymore. That's how parents are. And that's the way America used to be. Unfortunately, people don't stay married anymore for 61 years. So God bless you.
Well, first of all, let's get it right. You're not wrong, but it's 62 years in 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
December 26th, got married in Chicago.
Gotcha. It's interesting because, as I was looking here, you've got so many different things in this book, whether it be, the pardon, whether it be the Obama birth certificate, the 2018 Senate primary, all these different things. Is there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about, excerpts from your book that you want to drive home with our audience?
You mean above and beyond the book? Although in the book there's 2 chapters. I think one of them is chapter 7, which is the Obama birth certificate, and the other one is a trial by a biased judge which led to a contempt of court, same as a dog biting charge that Obama and his vice president went after me when they took office. It took them 8 years to get me on a contempt of court because a biased judge said I did not obey his laws or his decisions on arresting thousands and thousands of illegal immigrants. So those two chapters are somewhat important to me. I'll say this, there is nothing in that book, not one word, that I can't back up with documentation. I have kept records from the day I was born. So I feel very comfortable with what's in that book, believe me. And it's,
Yes, sir.
I like
Yes,
the
sir.
book.
You know, your co-author on this was David Thomas Roberts, and I don't know exactly how much he was involved with helping you put the book together. Obviously, most of it just factual based. Like you said, you've got the facts to back it up. You've got the life experience to back it up. How long did it take you to write the book?
Took me 5 months. David helped me. He's a publisher. He's also the author of some of his own books. Defense Publishing is his company. A patriot, and he and I got together, and we got it out. Now that's pretty tough in 5 months to talk about my life. You can write one chapter in 5 months, but we did a good job. Ted Nugent is a close friend of mine. He's a rock singer, so he wanted to do a foreword. He did. I want to thank him for the kind remarks. But it's a book that people have to read. It's very important today. I have dots from one place to the other since I've been around so long, and I'm not ashamed to say my age. Sometimes it hurts when you give an age, people think you're old. You can see me now. Do I? I don't dye my hair. This is my real hair. I'll take it out. So don't give me the garbage that I'm old. But I am.
No.
Not old, but I'll tell you why I survived. When I wrote this book and my whole life in that book, I always follow two things: life experience and common sense. I don't have all these criminal justice degrees, and I came up the hard way. I was ahead of the
Yes, sir.
federal drug in many, many areas. But I started in Chicago, 1957, married my wife, got sworn into the Bureau of Narcotics, 27 years, all over the universe. I'm very proud of my background. And that's one reason, actually, between you and us, I told my publisher, don't waste 5 pages by putting my bio. But he did. And I'm happy he did. I'll tell you why. Because that shows you I did do other things, law enforcement, 50s, and it says what my background is. That's why nobody can go against my background. All the fake news, all the people that don't like me, that want to hang me, they cannot contest where I came from. So I'm glad he put it in there, because that's been my problem. They always think of me as the 24-year sheriff of Maricopa County. So I'm proud of my background, and that led into what I believe, and many other people believe, to be a good sheriff, to support the people. And that's why this book
Yes,
is
sir.
important to me.
Yes, sir. And I studied up because I admire you and always have. You returned millions of dollars to the taxpayers of Maricopa County. You built, and instead of wasting it, giving it back to the taxpayers, you built 2 new jails, a sheriff's academy, a food factory, a firearms range. and the first headquarters in the organization's history with a state-of-the-art 911 center. You had up to 10,000 inmates at any given time. You had city jail, which everybody knows about if they have been, not living under a rock. You had the female juvenile chain gangs, which were the first ever. The pink underwear program, which I loved. You had the veterans, soldiers returning home that were placed at the front of the line in recruitment for you, and over 150 hired with special housing that you provided with for them within the jails that were for vets only. You had the Hard Knocks High, which was for juvenile offenders to continue their education, maybe while they were going through drug rehabilitation. And you had the Animal Cruelty Unit. You had so many innovative things that you did just while you were sheriff of Maricopa County, not to mention all your work on the world level and international level with the DEA. You have such an amazing history. Your military service, which, from one veteran to another, I just applaud and salute. And you're a brother. And I look at you, and you are an exceptional American. You are America's top sheriff. You are an American legend, and people need to know that. And for those of you out there that don't know Sheriff Joe Arpaio, this is a man who's laid it all on the line, like I said, and I have the highest respect for you, sir.
Well, thank you. John, it's people like you that can get the truth out. I can't rely on the media, especially the local media. By the way, it's interesting. This book is doing pretty good. The local media won't even acknowledge I have a book out. You know why? Because they know everything in that book is true, and they went after me on the reverse. So they don't even talk about my book being out there. They'll talk about Obama's book. The whole world talks about Obama's book, but they don't talk about what I did with Obama when he had a fake birth certificate. They'll talk about his book, but they won't talk about my book. So somebody ought to read my chapter 7 on the real story on that fake government document, but they won't do it. So it's people like you that helps me get the message out. And I want to thank you for that, for being honest. And if there's anything that you don't like about me, I wish you would tell me, because I like negative press too. So anyway, John, that's the chain gangs and everything. Everything I did in my career as sheriff, I had a reason for doing it. Now, people may say,
yes, sir.
Why do you intend 120 degrees? Well, it's not really 120 degrees. It's 116 degrees. And men and women, when I say our men and women are fighting for our country, and you will know what I'm talking about. I don't know which branch you were in. Doesn't matter. If they're fighting for our country and living in tents, why can't 500,000 people that have been convicted that are in tents?
Yes.
So I always shoot that, and they can't answer it. ACLU, Amnesty International, 4 presidential candidates visited my tent, and they all said what a great program. It is a great program. It was. Everything's gone now. That's another story since I left office. So when you went through all the programs, yeah, there's a lot of educational programs too we had. So I'm very proud.
Yes, sir.
Of the jail system and also fighting crime.
Well, you and listen, sir, you led the way for so many Americans and so many law enforcement officers across the country that look to you, just such a role model and a leadership quantity that it just doesn't grow on trees. I mean, men like you In your profession, if you looked at someone like John Wayne, John Wayne was well respected in his profession. Well, in your profession, you're like that. You're of that stature. That highly respected and across the country by all law enforcement, and they look to you for guidance, for leadership, for the way to do things. And look, I'm glad that you built this in cities. I think we need them now more than ever. And that brings me to my next point. What do you think about, and look, and by the way, I have zero respect for Barack Hussein Obama and Joe Biden. Okay? Zero respect. I know what they're all about. I know what they're trying to do to this country. You know it just like I do. It's been paying attention knows. People with blinders on, they can stay blind if they want, but there's a price to pay for that blindness. And I want to go on and I want to talk about sanctuary cities with you. The border wall, what the Democrats are doing here with immigration, specifically illegal immigration, which I know you have your thumb on the pulse of. I just wanted to maybe briefly get some of your thoughts on these issues. Obviously, all of that culminated in more crime, which is spreading in these Democrat-run cities.
Well, first of all, I can't answer that until I go back and give you a little of my position, actually living it in the last 38 years out of my 58 years. I didn't realize when you add up all my experience, how many years I dedicated to that U.S.-Mexican border. I was the regional director in Mexico, Central America. I covered the border on that side as a top guy. I was sheriff for 24 years close to the border, worked the border. G. Gordon Liddy and I, in 1969, under Nixon, ran an operation called Operation Intercept, where we just closed that border. They hated us, so I became regional director right after that. It wasn't easy getting the president and the attorney general in my corner, but just briefly, I'll tell you how I did it. And I always equate that to what President Trump has been doing when he meets with Putin and the rocket guy. Nothing wrong with meeting your so-called enemies and get in the back room and try to make some deals for the good of our country. Noriega, I had office in Panama. He played both sides. I used to meet with him. So sometimes it's the will and to talk to these people and try to get cooperation, and I did in Mexico. But I did it the easy way. My wife knows how to cook blueberry pie. The Attorney General blueberry pie. So naturally, I pumped out blueberry pie. And I was smart. I threw in some American whiskey. I got more done with American whiskey and pie, controlling that border, than I did with the big stick. So when our president, says, let's put up the wall, yeah, what's wrong with the wall? But I have an ulterior motive for the wall. Everybody talks about illegal immigration. Where do you think all the drugs are coming from? They're coming from Mexico, destroying our young people. Talk about how many people die of drug overdoses. They talk about the virus. Maybe they put statistics out and see how many people die over the drug. So law for you can't do enough for us and illegals out of our country. So I'm for it 100%, and I think I have a little knowledge of why I am saying that, having lived there and not being a politician. Every time they run office, they run down to the border in front of the chicken fence, and all they say is, we got to stop illegal immigration. Trump was the only one that threw the drug thing in there. So this is a political problem when you talk about the border. Political, economic, law enforcement, intelligence, all those problems exist when you're trying to enforce bad guys from coming into our country.
Yes, sir. And, you know, we know because it's political, we know that the Democrats, their thought process using common sense is that they believe that if they just open that border like a sieve, that that's going to garner them additional votes. Uh, and they just automatically assume that. Now, in this election, President Trump did remarkably better with Hispanics in the vote, but I don't know if anything is guaranteed when you're talking about illegal immigrants coming over. And beyond that, like you said, human trafficking, drugs, you know, killing our people. It's so heartbreaking. It makes me so distraught knowing that we have the ability to control this situation, and yet the Democrats, for political reasons, and probably even some Republicans, for political reasons and probably money, okay, they're going to turn the other way, look the other way why this happens to our country, why we're destroyed from within. It's almost like the Middle East. It's almost like, and I've studied Islamic jihad very closely, stealth jihad, the infiltration from within of our schools, our government, everything. And it's very similar in nature to what the Democrats are trying to do by make border a free-for-all.
Well, I don't think they like the border. If you recall, recently in Europe, they have no borders. You can go from France, from Italy. You don't have to go through any checkpoints. They want everything to be open. Same way here. If they have their druthers, they probably don't even want a border. They just want people to come back and forth and so on, which you can't do. We are an independent country. We should decide who is going to come in our country. Now, my mother and father came here from Italy legally. I love foreign people. I have kids of different races, but you have to follow the law. If you don't like the law, get it changed. Every time there's an election, all the Congress does, they talk. Nothing yet on this immigration problem, at least the past 20 years. Are they afraid to take this on? What is it? Why isn't people taking it on? And that includes the Republicans too, not just the Democrats.
Yes, sir.
There are Republicans out there that have solved too. So I don't know. It's a problem. Donald Trump has took a lot of heat, not just on that issue, other issues too. I was with him from day one, July 2015, when nobody would introduce him. I introduced him in front of 10,000
Yes, sir.
people, his first rally. 10,000 people. And I said, there's a silent majority out there. Now you can take silent out. So I don't. Then I said, we're born on the same day. Proud of it. Flag Day, June 14th. And then I pointed at him, looked him right in the eye. I said, you're going to be our next president. I guess I was right. He did.
Yes, you were.
He's got a heart. When I had the chance of speaking at the convention in Cleveland, they gave me the speech. I dumped it in the wastebasket in prime time. I said, my wife came down with cancer and watched Fox, which I don't watch. That's another big story. Watch
Yes, sir.
Fox. That I didn't need my wife to hook me. He's calling me, see how my is doing. Think of that. I bring that out to show he does have a heart. He does have a heart, and he believes in people. It's not just politics. That's why I bring
Yes,
that
sir.
up. I talked to 60.
Yes, sir. Well, we lost Sheriff Joe. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back here. Hold on one second.
Did I burn up the TV?
You're back. You're back. I didn't catch that last part of what you said. Could you say that again, sir?
About the part how I feel about Donald Trump and the
Yeah,
wife.
he's got heart. He loves this country. And by the way, the convention was in Cleveland. I live in Columbus. That's my home state, Ohio. And I just want to thank you because I'm like you. When President Trump, before he was elected, he came down that elevator and announced he was running for president. My friend was in the living room, and we jumped up and down for joy. We were so excited that he was running because we knew that he was a no-nonsense guy with a heart that loves America.
Well, you're right on track on that one. And I'll tell you what is it, about 94 million people in this current election that love Donald Trump? There's a lot of people, 94 million. I think there should be more, but unfortunately, there may be a little fraud going on.
Yes, sir.
He has his way of governing. Hey, they criticize him when he talks in a rally. He may say something here a little off color. What do you think a rally is for? You're supposed to read a Mickey Mouse teleprompter with a report when you out to rally everybody. You scream, you do this,
Exactly.
do that. After him. When he goes to the toilet,
Exactly.
headlines. So you can see what's
what's
going
funny,
on out there. So
you know what, Sheriff?
he's my guy.
They did the exact same thing to Reagan, right? And that was before, internet, social media, all that. But they called Reagan a racist. They called Bush a racist. If McCain or Romney would have got elected, they called them a racist. It doesn't matter who the Republican or conservative candidate is. You can mark this down, and I've said this before. In 2024, 2028, 2032, you can guarantee that whoever the candidate is, they'll be called a racist.
Well, I don't like saying this, not that I'm for, I don't like talking about my personal life much, but I have a black grandkid. I have a Mexican grandkid. Foreign people all over the world. They call me a race. They get you on anything else, they throw that race card at you. That's sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
Out in this country,
Well,
they're going after cops. They're going after cops, throwing them under the bus because of race and everything else. You got mayors, sanctuary cities. They won't do nothing. All they worry about is their own reputation, get reelected, and take the cops, and they try to destroy the police. That's the problem going on right now.
And not only that, Sheriff, Candace Owens, Larry Elder, it doesn't matter. Black police officers around the country. if you don't agree with the Democrats, they call you a racist. And you can be black, you can be Hispanic, you can be white. Now, they target white males and obviously people. That's what they're doing. But if you're black and you for Donald Trump, they will cancel you. This cancel culture nonsense. They will call you a bigot. Like I said, I don't care if it's Candace Owens or Larry Elder. These black people, they call them a racist. So it's about supporting America first. It's about not, jumping on board with China and allowing China to own us. It's about this Marxist, Maoist movement of racism that they're bringing back, and people like Ilhan Omar, who have infiltrated our government in Congress, and she is bringing stealth jihad. She is an Islamic radical. So, look, as you know, Sheriff, this is what we're dealing with. This is what's out there, and unfortunately, Americans need to wake up. People that aren't paying attention, people that don't know, people that are watching only mainstream media, fake news media. Like I said, those people they're having a hard time because they're only paying attention to this, revisionist history that these Marxists, that these Maoists are trying to deliver and bring into our schools, bring into our government, bring into our country, our community. That's why they want to defund police. That's why they try to drive you out in Maricopa County. They don't want anybody around that's going to resist or give another opinion, okay? And they don't want law and order, like you said. And as long as they don't want law and order, this is what we're dealing with. We're left with this anarchy that has to be stomped out. This is we live in a republic. This is a republic. And a lot of people don't understand that. But this is America is not just some democracy. It's a republic. Okay, and people need to understand that. They need to wake up to that. And this country was founded on God. It was founded on law and order. It was founded on common sense, the common sense that we spoke about. But Sheriff, I'm telling you right now, these Marxists, these Maoists, these Islamic jihadists, they're working together in collusion, or actual collusion, to bring country down, to defund police, to make our society racist again, but now against white people. They want to teach our kids to hate one another. It's so sickening and evil and twisted, and it has nothing to do. And by the way, this is the same party, the Democratic Party, that I've said many times in the 2012 DNC on national television, they banned God. And then this year, they stripped God from the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sure you saw that. So, not sure if the sheriff can hear us. I'll try to bring him on here one more time. We lost Sheriff Arpaio. Folks, look, we covered everything that we really wanted to cover. The main thing is I want to make sure you guys get Sheriff Arpaio's book. It's definitely worth a read. This is an American hero, a man who's done amazing things. Like I said, joined the military at age 18. fought in the Korean War. This is America's toughest sheriff. 26 years in the DEA, another 24 years as sheriff of Maricopa County. Think about all the good that he's done to stop kids from taking drugs, eliminating drugs that would have come into this country through a natural flow of the cartels that he stamped out by doing what he did, by doing his job. Get his new book. Again, it's scrolling at the bottom, the website, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, An American Legend. I want to make sure that you guys get that book. Give it to your dad, your grandfather, read it, get it for yourself for Christmas. I think that you'll find that it's an amazing read, and it will inspire you to do your best to step outside yourself for this country and to rise above it and do great things. I want to thank everyone. Thank you, America, for joining us once again on Indivisible. We'll see you next time. Kiss your wife. Say hi to your friends. Let them know that you love them. And stay strong. Stand up for what's right. This election's not over. We're going to keep fighting.